There is still so little known about outer space by modern science, but of that little we do know, there are some extraordinarily amazing things. This is a list of the top 10 cool facts about space. Number 10, lightweight. Fact: if you put Saturn in water, it would float. The density of Saturn is so low that if you were to put it in a giant glass of water, it would float. The actual density of Saturn is 0.687 grams centimeters 3, while the density of water is 0.998 grams centimeters 3. At the equator, Saturn has a radius of 60,268 plus minus 4 kilometers, which means you would need an extremely large glass of water to test this out. Number 9, constantly moving. Fact: we are moving through space at the rate of 530 kilometers a second. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is spinning at a rate of 225 kilometers per second. In addition, the galaxy is traveling through space at the rate of 305 kilometers per second. This means that we are traveling at a total speed of 530 kilometers, 330 miles, per second. That means that in 1 minute you are about 19,000 kilometers away from where you were. Scientists do not all agree on the speed with which the Milky Way is traveling. Estimates range from 130,000 kilometers. It should be said that Einstein's theory of relativity, the velocity of any object through space, is not meaningful. Number 8, farewell old friend. Fact: the moon is drifting away from Earth. Every year the moon moves about 3.8 centimeters further away from the Earth. This is caused by tidal effects. Consequently, the Earth is slowing in rotation by about 0.002 seconds per day per century. Scientists do not know how the moon was created, but the generally accepted theory suggests that a large Mars-sized object hit the Earth, causing the moon to splinter off. Number 7, ancient light. Fact: the light hitting the Earth right now is 30,000 years old. The energy in the sunlight we see today started out in the core of the sun 30,000 years ago. It spent most of this time passing through the dense atoms that make the sun, and just 8 minutes to reach us once it had left the sun. The temperature at the core of the sun is 13,600,000 kelvins. All of the energy produced by fusion in the core must travel through many successive layers to the solar photosphere before it escapes into space as sunlight or kinetic energy of particles. Number 6, solar diet. Fact: the sun loses up to 1 billion kilograms a second due to solar winds. Solar winds are charged particles that are ejected from the upper surface of the sun due to the high temperature of the corona and the high kinetic energy particles gain through a process that is not well understood at this time. Also, did you know that 1 pinhead of the sun's energy is enough to kill a person at a distance of 160 kilometers? Number 5, the Big Dipper is not a constellation. Fact: the Big Dipper is not a constellation, it is an asterism. Many people consider the Big Dipper to be a constellation, but, in fact, it is an asterism. An asterism is a pattern of stars in the sky which is not one of the official 88 constellations. They are also composed of stars which are not physically related to each other and can be vast distances apart. An asterism can be composed of stars from one or more constellations. In the case of the Big Dipper, it is composed entirely of the 7 brightest stars in the Ursa Major, Great Bear constellation. Number 4, George's star. Fact: Uranus was originally called George's star. When Sir William Herschel discovered Uranus in 1781, he was given the honor of naming it. He chose to name it Georgium Sidus, George's star, after his new patron, King George III, Mad King George. This is what he said: "In the fabulous ages of ancient times, the appellations of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn were given to the planets, as being the names of their principal heroes and divinities. In the present more philosophical era, it would hardly be allowable to have recourse to the same method and call it Juno, Pallas, Apollo or Minerva, for a name to our new heavenly body. The first consideration of any particular event, or remarkable incident, seems to be its chronology. If in any future age it should be asked, when this last found planet was discovered, it would be a very satisfactory answer to say, in the reign of King George III. Uranus was also the first planet to be discovered with the use of a telescope. Number 3, extra moons. Fact: Earth has at least 4 moons. Okay, that is not actually true, but it is very close. In 1986, Duncan Waldron discovered an asteroid 5 kilometers across that is in an elliptic orbit around the Sun with a period of revolution virtually identical to that of Earth. For this reason, the planetoid and Earth appear to be following each other. The periodic planetoid is named Croathan, pronounced Crenwy, after an ancient group of Scottish people also known as the Picts. Because of its unusual relationship with Earth, it is sometimes referred to as Earth's second moon. Croathan is fainter than Pluto and would require at least a 12.5-inch reflecting telescope to attempt to be seen. Since its discovery, at least 3 other similar asteroids have been discovered. These types of objects are also found in similar relationships to other planets in our solar system. In the image above, courtesy of Paul Wiegert, the Earth is the blue circle with a cross in it, and Croathan's orbit is shown in yellow. Number 2, sunspot music. Fact: sunspot activity may be the primary reason for the beautiful sound of Stradivarius violins. Antonio Stradivari is considered to be the greatest violin maker ever. He lived in Italy in the 17th and 18th centuries. Scientists have been unable to work out what it is about his violins that makes him so incredible, but they do know that the timber used to make them is a very important contributing factor. From the 1500s to 1800s, the Earth underwent a little ice age mostly due to increased volcanic activity and decreased solar activity. This is called the Maunder minimum. As a result of this cooling, the types of trees that Stradivari used for his violins were particularly hard due to slow growth. Hard timber is especially good when making violins. It is very probable that had Stradivari lived in a different age, his violins would not be prized as they are today. It shows the rings in the spruce tree used to make the most famous Stradivarius violin. The Messiah. The first row of numbers gives the width of each ring in millimeters. 1 millimeter is about the thickness of a fingernail. The bottom row gives the years in which each ring grew. Number 1, cold welding. Fact: if 2 pieces of metal touch in space, they become permanently stuck together. This may sound unbelievable, but it is true. 2 pieces of metal without any coating on them will form into one piece in the vacuum of space. This doesn't happen on Earth because the atmosphere puts a layer of oxidized material between the surfaces. This might seem like it would be a big problem on the space station, but as most tools used there have come from Earth, they are already coated with material. In fact, the only evidence of this seen so far has been in experiments designed to provoke the reaction. This process is called cold welding.